final third of the regular season is here, and Game Day Nation is the place to be. Alongside Mike Jewell and Mike Robinson, I'm Yaw Bonsu. Thank you so much for joining us. And I don't think anybody is more excited to watch Springfield football tonight than Mike Robb. Would that be an accurate assessment?
That is very accurate.
There you
Let me tell
go.
you, this is my squad. I love Springfield.
But let's talk about the Blue Devils just for a second. The past 3 seasons, 2-8 in each of them. But here we are, the Blue Devils, 3-4, and something feels different under first-year head coach Sam Arredondo. What is it?
You know what? I believe it's a lot happening with the young kids in their program.
Yeah.
You know, they got youth coaches from the junior high, and they're building that pipeline all the way up.
Springfield taking on Fremont Ross tonight. A Fremont Ross team, Mike Jewell, that only beat Southview by 8. I get it. A win's a win, but Southview hasn't won a game since week 1. How impressed are you with the Little Giants after last week?
Hey, we know they're tough. They got kids. Marquez Williams is a football player,
Absolutely.
baby, up front. He knows how to attack people, made the big play, the sack to end the game.
Fremont Ross looking for a 3rd straight win. That matchup against Springfield highlights our 5-game slate tonight on Game Day Nation. Our game of the week, Fremont Ross and Springfield. First time they're locking up since 2018. Let's lock in on our game of the week. Fremont Ross and Springfield. The Little Giants are balling out in that win over Southview. 8 sacks for that defense. Mike Jewell, if you're on the Springfield sideline, how worried are you about the Little Giants defense?
Hey, Sam Arredondo is not a guy that preaches worry to his kids.
You want to talk about young guys? Springfield will have a lot of them tonight. 7 starters are out tonight for the Blue Devils. Mike Robb, how do you get these younger guys up to speed?
You know what? They're hungry. Most of these young kids these days expect to play varsity when they walk into the high school doors.
We have our
yeah.
6 box. I don't think I've
yeah.
ever seen us in the 6 box before.
Not
so
a
I like
fan.
that. You're not a fan.
Get me out of here.
You don't want to
Man,
see
I don't
yourself?
I don't want to see myself. Here we go. Let's go.
All right, let's pick a game.
All right, I'll go first. Let me go with the Mules.
The Mules?
Nice.
The
Up to
kicking Mules?
Michigan.
All right, let's send it over to Ann Arbor Huron at Bedford. Brad Woznicki and Jack Newhort. Fremont Ross up 27-7 in our game of the week over Springfield. You're watching Game Day Nation, presented by Renewal by Anderson, a better way to a better window. We'll be right back. Thank you, Maddie. So if we look at Division II, Region 6, Fremont Ross is sitting at the 14 seed right now. Meanwhile, Springfield is at the 18 seed. Mike Jewell, how urgent should both of these teams be heading into the second half of this game?
There's no margin for error. You've got to win. You've got to win out. You've got to make things happen.
Meanwhile, last week, Fremont Ross beat Southview 21-13. Mike Jewell, it wasn't the most impressive win, but here the Little Giants are up by 20 over the Blue Devils. What's been the biggest difference so far?
Well, they've established a running attack that I think allows them to throw the ball big.
Welcome back to Game Day Nation alongside Mike Jewell and Mike Robinson. I'm Yaw Bonsu. Whitmer's up 28-7 over Findlay. We expected it to be maybe a closer game after Perrysburg beat Findlay 14-10 a week ago, but in the second quarter, it seemed like Findlay was running screen passes more than the Philadelphia Eagles ran the tush push. But eventually, Whitmer figured it out, got a pick 6, and now the Panthers are up by 3 touchdowns. What has been the biggest difference in Findlay last week to this week, Mike Jewell?
Findlay, I think they matched up. Football is like a good fight. It's about matchups, and who matched up. I think Findlay matched up with Perrysburg a little bit better.
Coach Keller, first-year head coach, but he's been with the program for well over a decade. He seems to be the catalyst for Whitmer being as consistent as they are, Mike Jewell, to the point where, as Mike Robb said, they're right up there with the contenders here in Northwest Ohio.
Keller's is homegrown greatness.
He's that dude, isn't he?
And the thing that I do with that Whitmer program, and Gachardo had it rolling with father and son there for a while. But then when Joe Palka came, Dan Fout was a very good coach too.
Absolutely.
But Joe Palka changed everything. And so they've got the right guy.
Understatement as far as Justin Keller being ready for this primetime spotlight. Whitmer leading Findlay 28-7 at halftime. You're watching Game Day Nation, presented by Renewal by Anderson, a better way to a better window. We'll be right back. Let's get it. The Media Center is brought to you by Stotzenberger College. Start your career at sctoday.edu. And if you want to win Student Section of the Week in that beautiful belt, we'll have it here in just a few minutes. All you have to do is tag us at BCSN Sports, hashtag SSOTW for your chance to raise the belt for potentially the night and potentially the entire school year. But let's get back to more football action here on Game Day Nation. We have 5 games, and we're going to check in. Second half beginning between Summerfield and Ottawa Hills. Summerfield down 21-7, but that doesn't matter.
Stays up.
To Austin Taylor. He stays up. runs up the gut and into the end zone, untouched, Mike Jewell.
That changes the complexion of that football game 50 seconds into the second half.
Welcome back to the studio after a big Whitmer win over Findlay. The Panthers taking down the Trojans 35-33 alongside Mike Jewell and Mike Robinson. I'm Yaw Bonsu. Let's talk about that final drive for Findlay. Rushing attack seemed to be working. Miles Bailey, he converted that big fourth down using his legs, but the coaching staff, Mike Jewell, elected to keep dropping him back, and then it resulted in that interception that got Whitmer the ball and eventually ended the game. Your thoughts on that final drive for the Trojans?
Hey, Miles Bailey was fantastic. He's getting the ball around and spreading the ball around.
Thank you, Justin. As we mentioned previously, Anthony Wayne taking down Northview 21-0. It's a Generals team that's without Roman Morrison, so that's a huge loss for a Generals offense that revolved around the rushing game. But Mike Rob, what do the Generals have to do to keep pace in the NLL Buckeye division?
You know, I love the five-star Generals. You know, I think they just got to get back to being who they are. You know, we saw the top recruit right there. And Porter Brungard, obviously it starts with the quarterback.
Finley's going to be just fine. They belong. Everybody knows it. And if you don't know it, you ain't watching.
Finley only losing by 6 points combined over the past 2 weeks. A 4-point loss to Perrysburg a week ago, and of course the 2-point loss to Whitmer tonight. You're watching Gameday Nation, presented by Renewal by Anderson, a better way to a better window. We're talking more ball on the other side of the break. Clock it. Yes, sir. Fantastic job, guys. From one great duo to another. Our very own Mason Lowry, John Gibson, were on the call for Springfield against Fremont Ross in our game of the week. Man, what a win for Fremont Ross, but I want to key in on the Blue Devils real quick because it really seemed like having 7 starters out ended up being the Achilles heel for Springfield. Mike Rob, where do you measure where Springfield is relative to all the injuries they've been having?
You know, I think they're in a great spot.
Not worried at all. Not worried at all.
No worries.
Meanwhile, the NLL Cardinal division is shaping up to be a 2-horse race as of now. You have Napoleon at the top. Meanwhile, you have Fremont Ross. Things were looking kind of iffy after Fremont Ross only beat Southview by 8 points a week ago. But Mike Jewell, what do you like about the Little Giants team you saw tonight relative to last week?
Hey, John Gibson said it. I mean, they dominated all 3 phases of the game. They played with that heart and that inspiration. And let's face it, Fremont's one of those places, baby. I mean, you're talking Charles Woodson territory.
Come
I
on.
mean, this is their history. This is their heritage.
We're sitting here, Mike Rob. It's October 10th. You know what type of team you have. You know what your players are capable of.
Yeah.
What will win games this late in the season?
You know, good defense and running the football, you know, and being disciplined. I think that's the key.
But here's the thing. You have some teams that may be 4-4 and played the strongest schedule known to man. You have other teams that may be 7-1, but maybe have played a weaker schedule. So how do you distinguish, Mike Rob, the contenders from the pretenders?
Well, any team that's 7-1, I wouldn't say is a pretender.
Well, remember, we were talking about Perrysburg 2 weeks ago, and Perrysburg didn't have the strongest schedule, and then the Yellow Jackets proved it by going 6-1 by beating a contender like Findlay. So I'm asking from that perspective, when you have a weaker schedule but a great record, how can you prove yourself before the postseason?
So, yeah, it was a 2-part question.
I don't mean to ask a double-barrel question.
No,
that is not what I learned in journalism.
No, that's all right. You know, we're having some fun. We're having a good conversation. Come on in, y'all. So I think this is it.
Mike Rob, I'm glad you mentioned culture, because if I was a 4-4 team and I knew that maybe our playoff hopes were going to get dashed just a little bit, the coaching staff I would want is the coaching staff of Central Catholic. So considering the pedigree that the Fighting Irish have, how much does it help to have a guy like Greg Dempsey to hold you down when times are tough like this, to raise you back up and let you know that Central Catholic is a school that at the end of the day, no matter what the record is, no matter what the schedule is more likely than not going to be the last team in the area standing come the postseason?
I mean, I think the history books show.
Speaks for itself.
And I think you look at it, and again, I go back to it. Why don't the top teams in this area play against them? And then we can go to break.
There you have it. You're watching Gameday Nation, presented by Renewal by Anderson. A better way to a better window. Clock it, Mike Rob. Give me one. Oh, Mike Jewell, you got it?
We will. Be the best, you got to play the best.
This is a hard question, but I'm going to go with St. John's. Of course, as you guys know, my coach of the year is Joe Horn.
Well.
I know St. John's lost 48-7 today
nowhere.
to Catholic Central. However,
Mike's staying in the seat this week.
This is about most improved. Remember, This Titans team
No, I'm with
won
you.
one game a season ago. Here we are in 2025. You play Anthony Wayne in a one-score game. I know what Mike Jewell's going to say. No such thing as moral victories. I'm counting it here. You beat your rival
Moral
in St.
victories
Francis
is death.
29-21. And again, the play calling is just there with Joe Horn. He has transformed that program in a way that I don't think many people expected coming into the season. When the original rankings were released by OSHA, St. John's was a playoff team. May they drop out after this week? Possibly, but there's a lot of season to go. And if there's any coach that I'm picking to carry their team out throughout the rest of the season, Greg Dempsey would be number one. Nobody's arguing that.
He got
but
smart.
It's
He's
a
learned.
it's a conversation.
He's learning.
It's a conversation for number two, and Joe Horn would be my pick with St. John's.
He knew what he had to say
That's
to
your
keep
coach
Mike.
of the year?
He knew he had to keep Mike at the
Joe
desk
Horn?
this week.
Yeah.
Yeah, my coach of the year is Joe Horn. Yes.
Coach Dempsey, we know you were watching. Yao feels a little bit. He's got the red
No, no,
tie
no,
on
no,
this
no, no,
week.
no, no.
He's got the central colors on.
I'm
not getting in trouble.
After last week, I had various conversations with different individuals.
Hey.
Right?
He had
And
his
it's
come.
about-
He had his come to Dempsey moment.
I'm gonna tell y'all like this. I'm just gonna do it for us. Hey, we'll see y'all on the other side of this break here from Game Day.
Thanks, Mike.